Battlefield has officially revealed their final mode by the guys over at DICE LA, who are now known as Ripple Effect. Much like the gameplay trailer and the reveal trailer, I was invited by EA to check out the presentation for this before everybody else, with a couple of other YouTubers and a couple of other streamers. And in this video today, I want to give you guys the full rundown on Battlefield Portal, everything that's in it, everything they spoke about, and how absolutely ridiculously incredible this is going to be for the Battlefield franchise. So for those of you unaware, Battlefield Portal is effectively Battlefield the Sandbox, and what that means is that they have taken multiple generations of Battlefield games, stuffed them onto the new engine with their maps being completely remastered, and then basically said, do what you want to do with it. And they meant literally do what you want to do with it. If you want to have 64 German soldiers from Battlefield 1942 fight 64 soldiers from Battlefield 3 with shotguns, you can entirely do that. If you want to pitch Battlefield Bad Company 2 against Battlefield 3, entirely possible. The limitations here are more or less seemingly endless, and multiple generations of games are being packed into one. Specifically, Battlefield 1942, Battlefield Bad Company 2, and Battlefield 3. There are 7 classic maps available in Battlefield Portal, and all of these have been completely remastered and upgraded to the newest Frostbite engine. So for example, the Battle of the Bulge in 1942 is available in Battlefield Portal, but has undergone a full remaster to give the map better lighting, better destruction, the ability to destroy buildings entirely, and a full revamp on the most upgraded Frostbite yet. And the clips you saw in the trailer aren't a joke. Like, you can have 64 knives versus 64 defibs. You could have one player versus 127 if you wanted to. The limitations and possibilities are completely endless there. And for people who have done stuff like, zombies versus human mode, or survival modes, or people who've tried to do hardcore realism modes, all of these options are entirely available. You can remove the HUD, remove aim assist, you can increase the time to kill or decrease the time to kill, you can change damage values. There is so much feasibly possible here that you could turn Battlefield into a massively realistic hardcore experience, or you could turn Battlefield into a complete laughable, complete mess sandbox experience. You could have 64 robot dogs fighting 64 German soldiers if you wanted to. Anything you could imagine in Battlefield 3, Bad Company 2, 1942, and Battlefield 2042, and any kind of weird put together you could possibly consider. I don't know, like 4 versus 124, or 10 tanks versus 118 infantry, is entirely possible. And when they first showed me all of this, I couldn't believe my eyes, because this is exactly what we've been asking for years and years and years and years, and it's the closest we're getting to modding in a Battlefield game, and I'll explain why in a little bit more detail shortly. But effectively anything is possible here, and all of these communities who've created these weird and wacky game modes that to try out in custom or community servers of the past can do that at an even more extensive level now, and an extensive level that was never possible before. The best thing about all of this though is that this happens on a website. You don't have to do this in-game, you don't have to do this on your console or on your PC. You can do this on your phone, you can do this on your laptop, on your regular desktop if you so please, and it's all accessible on the website. And they even showed us how they made a shotguns versus knives mode in real time. They showed us how they done it, how they put it together, and it was so super simplistic. But there were so many options. There were options to disable aim assist, there were options to disable the HUD, there were options to make the guns randomly rotate every time somebody was killed. There were just a whole array of options that were entirely possible, that were never considered to be possible before. And of course, all of this is running on the new Frostbite engine, meaning that character movement, player models, lighting, the way the maps work will all work in the same way to Battlefield 2042. And you can make these custom modes on either the Battlefield 2042 maps or the remastered maps at launch. And they did say that they intend on having more content coming to not only the custom editor, but also to Battlefield 2042 as well. So if they add a new map during the season, that map will be instantly available on the editor. And who knows, we might even see a Battlefield 2142 update or something like that. And once you've made your crazy creation, you can invite your friends to come and try that crazy creation with just a simple share code, something as simple as a link, which is really, really exciting. This is truly stuff that, we've wanted to see for so long now. And you can even test it. You can test your mode before you put it live and make sure everything's working as intended. You can even add AI to your mode if you so wish. Whether you want to use that AI to test the mode to see if it's working properly, or you want to have 127 AI versus one man in a survival race, that's entirely possible, and you can mess around and tweak with the AI as much as you humanly please. So AI, the game modes, the map, pretty much everything is at your disposal. Any setting in the game, such as damage, such as HUDs, such as modes, such as reasons for winning, such as vehicles available, are entirely up to your disposal. You could have a mode where you pitch 64 versus 64, except one of the 64 is, I don't know, a super god with infinite health. You know, it's anything, literally anything you can think of, it's there basically. And there are a few limitations, and we haven't seen necessarily all of the settings, but it seemed super extensive. But what's crazy is that I haven't even got to the best part yet, and that is the fact that this has a logic editor. Yeah, you're hearing this correctly. If you're a modder, you know exactly what I mean, and you know how crazy that is. Now, if you're not a developer or a mod, effectively a logic editor provides a main method of setting up and editing the game logic for various objects. So you, for example, could provide a different logic for the outcome of a game. So rather than you requiring 500 tickets to win a match, maybe the logic of the game dictates that you have to destroy a certain vehicle to win the match, or you have to extract at a certain location to win the match. And a logic editor is effectively the furthest form of modding we've ever gotten in the Frostbite engine, and the limitations here are completely endless. Everything that is a changeable value within the game, whether that's a value around a character model, a vehicle model, a value around how a mode works, how a mode is meant to work, is entirely changeable within the logic editor. And it is an actual formal logic editor, like no joke, not a banter editor, not a crappy editor, like a real UE4 style logic editor. Which means that before, yeah, you could have, 1 versus 127, but what if that 1 versus 127 mode was one guy with a god gun versus 127 players with knives, and the way he won the game is by either killing all of the 127 or he had to extract to a certain location. That's entirely possible. With a logic editor, you could literally chop, change, and remove certain parts, certain assets, certain ways things work in order to achieve what you want to achieve. And it's entirely unrestricted, so to speak, in the sense that you'll be able to go through each single module within the mode and try and alter it in a way that you think makes sense. And of course, this is something that's pretty advanced, so if you're somebody who's used to coding or used to a logic editor, you're going to feel right at home. But if you're not, you can actually try and test things. So for example, you could make a change to the logic editor that you think makes sense, or maybe you've watched a YouTube tutorial or a tutorial on the Battlefield website, and then you could save it, go and copy the link and try it out on your console or PC with some AI to make sure that it's working as you wanted it to work. And it's effectively a full-scale version of modding Battlefield, to the most extent we've ever seen since the days Battlefield wasn't on Frostbite. If you wanted to, you could have a 64 versus 64 one life mode where if you die, you die, and you can only be revived by teammates. You could have a full hardcore experience within Battlefield, like you would expect in Squad or Hell Let Loose. Or you could have a full wacky experience where planes have infinite bombs and there are 110 players who have to run away from them. And that's entirely possible with both the logic editor and the way that you can change, chop, and alter the assets within the game. So whether you want to make a simple 1 versus 127 mode, or pistols versus shotguns, or knives versus defibrillators, that's entirely possible. But if you wanted to go next level and try and effectively create a modded custom mode, that is also possible within the logic editor. I think it's absolutely crazy that this is coming to Battlefield, and really a huge massive shout out to EA and DICE, because they really listened to the community and what the community wanted. Because Effectively now, with a logic editor, with custom modes, you can facilitate competitive communities, you can facilitate people who want to do crazy wacky modes, you can facilitate entire communities with this. And although they haven't shared details as to how these modes will be promoted within the game, and although they did say there was an official playlist of these modes, so to speak, there's going to be so much room for potential here. I mean, I was talking to Leslie after this, and I don't know, every Friday you guys could send us a custom mode that's ridiculous, and we try and play it and see if we can survive it. The content options here are literally endless, both from a YouTuber perspective and just from an average player perspective. Tired of playing regular Battlefield 2042? Okay, go play Battlefield 1942 within Battlefield 2042. You could literally just have an authentic experience. Nobody's saying you have to constantly mod the game. If you want to literally play Valparaiso on Battlefield Bad Company 2, but in the new engine with 64 players, you can do that, and that's really, really awesome. And hopefully we see more maps, more guns, more equipment, more generations of Battlefield come to the portal, because that would be truly an incredible experience. So folks, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.